Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys stopping by. And so in this video, again, countdown to the Pixel 4. And now I want to kind of like dive into the Pixel itself. Um, so there are certain aspects of the Pixel that basically we can all honestly say, whether the diehard Pixel fans want to admit it or not, the Android enthusiasts want to admit it or not, we know that Google, with their Pixel, in general, is their idea of the Pixel is like having the iPhone for Android. And while that may not seem like a bad thing to some people who have used both hardwares and both softwares, in general, it's always a better fit and a better look when a company decides to do its own thing instead of being like the next. That statement all by itself is something that we see quite a bit of here in the world of mobile tech. When a company comes dangerously too close to doing something very similar to another one, they are quickly called out for it. And that's the thing. Point being here, the Pixel device, we know, in the name itself, it is marketing camera, because that's where the battle seems to be at now with mobile tech. It's not so much the user experience or the battery life. It's not so much the specifications, even though people still say specifications is the most important thing, which I disagree with. It's not really about that anymore. It's about cameras. Every new phone that comes out in the last 2 years has been focused on cameras. The camera can do this. The camera can do that. AR is there. VR is there. It's come to that point. Right now, there's people that's analyzing the Pixel 4 in its release, and there are some that are hoping that it can nail it as this year's top smartphone release. There are others that are naming the reasons why it's not going to be the top release and why the iPhone 11 Pro is going to be the release of the best release of 2019. There are lots of different opinions, point of views. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but one of the things that it kind of draws back to, or the kind of focus on, is the Pixel and just how, you know, they're labeling it like it's the iPhone of Android, and that is like that's blasphemy. That's like, wow. I mean, for the company that has been the rival to Apple and its iPhone for so long, to have that even like said, I mean, if I was the CEO of Google, I would have a bad taste in my mouth. Like, why? But that's the thing, though. It's like the big G company kind of forgot its way. Let's take a step back in the days of Nexus. Let's talk about Nexus and why Nexus thrived and why Nexus was so good and why Nexus was one of the main reasons that Android eventually surpassed iOS. Sorry to the Apple fans out there or those people who are 50-50 on that. But let me just say that for a while, Android did overtake iOS. And it was Nexus that was a big key to that. Nexus focused on Android. So yes, they partnered with companies like Samsung and LG and Motorola and Huawei to build the hardware to house their operating system, Android. And a lot of geeks and nerds, even though we are the minority of the consumer base for this product, we enjoyed the Nexus because it gave us bare bone stock Android. And you really felt that when you bought a Nexus device. You felt that while they did have the hardware to hold Android, it was mostly about Android. And then those people who built applications for Android had a phone with the bare bones stock Android operating system that got timely updates, allowed them to continue developing their application for Android. For the geeks and nerds, it gave us something to play with where we can really tear into Android and make it our own, be it custom ROMs, custom kernels, even using what are they called? I forgot what they're called. There's exposed modules that pretty much change the behavior of your Android smartphone, really kind of tearing in to these system files and just doing something completely different. But you guys get what I'm saying, is that it allowed a lot of people to really kind of make Android their own. And Nexus, that was synonymous with that entire world. Then when Nexus died, Pixel came about. And yes, I wasn't really big on Google switching over to the Pixel and pushing that. Only because I knew what they were going to really focus on, which was just mostly photo taking and cameras. Obviously, the name Pixel is a dead giveaway. But then I was okay with it because I was figuring, well, Google's going to show us something that kind of falls along their personality. Them being very googly with what they're doing, the projects that they do. I mean, yes, we know that the big G company has a very, very, very bad thing with creating and killing. I mean, those pretty much go hand in hand when you reference the big G company. They create an app and service and then they kill it off. And I don't want that to happen with the Pixel devices at all whatsoever. I want the Pixel to thrive, but one of the ways that I do know that really tarnishes an image of a company and its hardware is when they try to be exactly like the next person. And if a news publication can use that phrase and say that Google is trying to make the Pixel the iPhone of Android, yeah, you're really then kind of dangerously stepping in on that side. I honestly feel like that with the Pixel, Google needs to go their own way. I get it. They're trying to establish their phone as a flagship device and to be taken serious in the hardware industry. But I think the best footing for that would to be to do it your own way. Do what you're known to do, Google. Do it your way and be googly about it. Okay? Don't try to push this thing and market it the same way that the iPhone is marketed because Apple has years ahead of you with their hardware. But that doesn't mean that you're automatically going to fail if you do it your way. I would just like to see the big G company really treat their hardware now that they're in the hardware game. Really treat it and do something that really represents Google. It's not it's not a dangerous way to play and it's not a bad thing for them to really do it their own way. I honestly would respect them more for that. But that's it, guys. Pretty much that's all I had to say in this rant about the Pixel. Hopefully the Pixel 4 shows us something pretty neat. And if you guys think so, leave a comment telling me why. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed today's video. Would really appreciate that if you just subscribe. Thanks so much for doing so. And as always, aloha.